You know what I meant. It's interesting. She's been very been very critical of regulators' approval of JP Morgan's emergency takeover of First Republic. There's a lot of issues.
Yep.
So
let's get over to Joe, Matthew, and Kaylee Lyons right now and listen in on this exclusive interview.
As we introduce a special guest, the Senate Senator from Massachusetts, Elizabeth Warren, joining us live now from Capitol Hill. Senator, it's good to see you. I want to welcome you back to Bloomberg TV. It's a big day around here. We've got the CPI report. It's a story with regard to inflation that we've been talking about for longer than I can even remember at this point. And you famously called Jay Powell a dangerous man in a hearing before your committee. Now that we're seeing inflation actually begin to drop in a meaningful way and the job market holds strong with wages actually rising, is he still a dangerous man?
So, look, if he stops the extraordinary rate increases that he's been doing, then we will have made it through this. We have great news today that inflation has been cut by 2/3. So my message is take yes for an answer, Chair Powell, and let's stop with the rate increases. Done.
Well, Senator Warren, of course, monetary policy is only one responsibility of the Federal Reserve. The other is supervision. I know an issue very near and dear to your heart, especially in light of the bank failures we have seen this year. The Fed's Vice Chair of Supervision, Michael Barr, has recently laid out proposals to strengthen capital requirements for the largest banks out there, most importantly. Are you satisfied with his proposal, and do you think he has the authority within the Federal Reserve to see it through?
So let me invert those. The answer is he clearly has the authority to be able to put in higher standards and to be able to enforce those higher standards. And the second part is Barr is headed in the right direction. Is it enough? No. We still have a lot of problems. We have too much concentration in the banking industry. We have more too big to fail banks than we did back when the economy crashed in 2008. And the too big to fail banks are bigger than they were back then. So, you know, we're not out of the woods yet, but I feel a lot better when I read Michael Barr talking about how we need to tighten down on bank regulation. Go, Michael.
Senator, you held a hearing on bank consolidation today. Understanding your concerns about the big banks, as you just mentioned, too big to fail. How about small and medium-sized banks? Should they be allowed to get married so they can better compete?
So the problem that we have faced is, of course, more and more concentration at the top. And always keep in mind the implications of that. One is obviously too big to fail puts our entire economy at risk. But the other half is to remember that it is these small banks that are the ones that actually do the small business lending. And that drives our economy, and it also drives employment. That these small businesses are the engine of our economy. And anything that wipes those banks out is a bad idea. Finding ways to keep those banks open as independent or allied banks, I'm in favor of that. But the problem we've got is the big banks are the ones who come in, snap up the little banks. Oh, they make a handful of promises about how nothing will change. And then those banks disappear. So that we now end up, for example, in a third of all rural counties in America, there is no small independent bank. There's nobody there who actually understands the local economy and who is willing to get to know the business that wants to borrow that money and sees that as their job in banking. That's not where the giants are. They don't do the small business lending, and that's the concern that I have about concentration.
So we know you have concerns about concentration and concerns about some other issues that we do want to get with you, Senator. First, though, if I could ask you about a hearing you were in prior to today. You have some concerns about Senator Tommy Tuberville and the blockade he has put on the promotions of members of the military. Given those concerns about how that affects military readiness in the U.S., military families, what do you think you can do to blunt that impact? What workarounds do you see?
So this is the problem we've got right now. You know, I am the chair of the subcommittee on personnel on the Senate Armed Services Committee. So I'm there on the front lines hearing from the families who now are in a position saying, where do we register our kids for school? I've heard from families who say, we've already sold our house because we thought we were moving this summer so that our active duty service member was going to be deployed somewhere else around the country or around the world. Profound impact on families, profound impact on our military readiness. Our former secretaries of defense, our current secretary of defense, our former secretaries of defense who are Republican appointees have all said this undermines military readiness. But here's the problem. The Democrats can't stop Tommy Tuberville from what he's doing. It is the Republicans who need to do this. The Republicans need to say, you are a member of our party, you are putting national security at risk, you are insulting and undermining military families in this country, cut it out. Because that's the only way